You're going to be holding it. Okay. So just recently, I had one of my clients came into my office, and she told me that she had gone home during the summer to visit her family in Syria. So what's going on in Syria right now? What's going on?
War.
There's a war going on.
Yeah.
So is this a stable country right now, Syria?
No.
No. Would you consider the U.S. a stable country?
No.
Yes?
To some extent.
To some extent. I mean, are we safe? Do we go home worrying about if someone is going to attack us, or if we're going to have bread the next day, or if the water and electricity are going to be cut? Do we worry about this stuff? No. Oh, you can't hear me in the back? It's going to be, yeah, we'll try, but is this better? Yeah? No? Yes? I mean, if you can kindly move forward, that would be even better. But anyway, I know some people like to be in the back. So I'm going to try my best to project my voice. Anyway, so far we've said she went to Syria. We so far established that Syria versus the U.S., there's a difference in terms of stability. You agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. So we were worried about her before she was going to Syria. We're concerned about her safety and whether, everything's going to be okay. She comes back safe, alhamdulillah. She actually had a great time, alhamdulillah, because she hadn't seen her family in a long time, so she was very grateful for that time. But this is what intrigued me. Before she left to Syria, we were working on parenting. Okay, she has a young child who's about maybe, I think, 9 years old. So we've been working on parenting, okay? She comes back and she tells me, you know how I was shocked? I said, what were you shocked about? So I'm expecting to hear, some horror stories, right? And she goes like, there was a boy there in our family circle who's the same age like my son, and I observed the differences between him, that boy in Syria, and my son. And the differences are really dramatic. And I didn't expect that. That boy in Syria, who has been living for the last maybe 7 years now in uncertainty, was more independent, more in tune with what's going on around him, more willing to help, the people around him, and not feeling a victim. Okay, so she came back and she's like, I'm really shocked. I didn't expect that. And we talked about it for a bit, and we concluded that sometimes when we are living in a place where everything is working beautifully, we really don't have to worry about anything. Erroneously, we parents, we think our job, or our number one job, is to make sure that our children are just constantly happy. Which means what? It means, I'm not going to ask them to do anything. Why do I need to ask them to do anything? Okay, we're living a very comfortable life here, so I can do the dishes. They don't need to help me with the dishes. I can actually get a maid to cook, and clean. Why do I need to bother my children with this stuff? Okay? It means also, alhamdulillah, we have, enough money, so why do I need to deprive them of toys? Why do I need to say no to their toys or no to their iPhone? Okay? It also means, unfortunately, with some parents, it is not okay for children to cry. They step in immediately and they want the children to feel okay immediately. Okay? It means also that we are going to give in to their demands. Another thing we see also in the US, just by virtue, because we are a minority in the US, is erroneously we believe also It's because we want to raise them as good Muslims. Okay, I don't like to use the word good Muslims. Yeah, people who attended my workshops know I do not like the word good Muslim. So our goal or our hope is for our children to grow up as practicing Muslims. I like practicing more. So then some parents, they decide that because we are going to establish some rules, and these rules are going to be no dating, no alcohol, no dance at the school, no prom. So in order to compensate for all of these no's, what we're going to do is we're going to say yes to all of the other stuff, because we believe that the other stuff is benign. But what we have missed is that all other stuff that is mundane, which is basically the chores and really limits on screen time, and also allowing them to be upset and angry and cry and deal with their emotions, all of this mundane stuff that we take as really meaningless is actually what builds their character. So the parents in Syria, they have no choice except allowing their children to face life. And to face life, the hard life. It's not an easy life. Do they have a choice? No. Can they shield their children? No. They can only do so much. So they decide that, okay, children have to be part of this ordeal that we're going through, and we actually need to lean on them. Because we don't have a lot of support, we need to lean on each other. So children become part of the social and emotional support of the family. When we here, we live in what I call affluence. Even if we're poor, by the way, financially, I still consider our state in the US a state of affluence. Because we are very secure, we're not worried, okay? So when we live this life of affluence, we really tend to shield our children from dealing with life. And when we shield them from dealing with life, we are robbing them from the ability to become resilient and become independent and become strong, so they can be actually very functioning, very independent, very well-rounded adults. Okay? So, this is the foundation of what I'm going to be talking about. So, from my observation in dealing with clients in my office, I have observed that one thing we are lacking in doing in dealing with our children is really training them in what I am calling right now self-soothing. Self-soothing is a term that was began or coined in the 1970s. And when it began, or when they coined it to describe infants who are able to kind of like sleep on their own. So it was a very specific term used at that time. So now I'm expanding that term to mean something way more than that. Self-soothing to me is really training your children in the ability to handle life in a healthy, functional way. Meaning to be able to handle life without resorting to dysfunction, to addictions, to any of the unhealthy coping mechanisms that some people actually use. So do you understand my definition of what self-soothing is? Are we clear on that? Because sometimes I'm going to get people saying, but that's not what they meant. I understand. I'm just expanding the definition. So I propose that in order for us to train our children in this ability to self-soothe, we need to incorporate everything on the postcard that you got. I have so every one of you has a postcard right now? Yes? Yeah. Some of you don't. If you don't, there are extra here, so you can just come and grab some. So I'm going to read them, and then we're going to cover, inshallah, one of them, because I don't think we have time for covering more than one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for your help. Thank you. So, beginning from the top right corner, encourage mind-body activities. Mind-body activities are activities that involve the, the use of the hands, as an example. I'm not going to go into details because I need to really focus on one of them today. Then cultivate spirituality. This one I'm going to talk about tomorrow in the session at 3 p.m. Step back and let grow, which is basically understand the limits of your control and understand that your children really have some control over their life. They actually have more control than you think. And you need to really start beginning to think of yourself as a supporter rather than a controller. Provide a healthy diet. Co-create routines and house rules. Allow for boredom. And then nurture strength and celebrate progress. Teach delayed gratification. Connect with nature, and this is the one I'm actually going to focus on today. Minimize screen time, and this is what Dr. Reda Bashir was talking about. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's easier, right? Yes, it's much easier. Thank you. So this is what Dr. Reda Bashir was talking about just, a few minutes ago. Integrate feelings, identify, express, and contain. And this is what I covered in Mass last year. That was the session last year. Okay, so we covered all of them. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. So for today, I am going to focus on connect with nature. So I want to ask you a few questions, and this is for you to kind of like reflect on. What does nature mean to you? When was the last time you actually had an intentional, meaningful encounter with nature? Okay. And on a weekly basis, how long do you spend in nature? And do you actually notice a difference in your state, in your being, when you are in nature? Or is it the same for you? Okay? Yeah. And is nature actually part of your daily routine? And again, I'm talking about intentional awareness of nature. So, I am personally an urban girl. I was born in the city, I was raised in the city. It was only during the summer that we actually went away and we were, in a nature, environment. And I really don't think that it hit me or I understood the impact of that environment on me and myself. Until, the 1990s, I read a book that is called The Celestine Prophecy. Anyone in the audience read the book, Celestine Prophecy? It was a bestseller in the 1990s. You read it, right, Dr. Bashir? Yeah, okay. It's fiction, but it's one of those fictions that actually changes you. So I came out from reading this book being sensitized to two things. Sensitized to the power of the environment on my mood, and sensitized to the power of people that I'm interacting with on my mood. Okay? So I came out also from reading this book, making a commitment and an intentional, decision that I need to be in nature on a daily basis. So from early on, alhamdulillah, in the 1990s, I made the decision that I need to walk every morning outside in the trail. So I'm not going to go to the gym. Okay, I have nothing against people who go to the gym for exercise. I understand it works for you. Okay, nothing against that. But I'm inviting you to also consider doing some of your exercise out in nature. Anyway, so to talk about really proving to you the significance of the impact of nature on ourselves, there is a researcher from out of British Columbia who did a study in 2016. This is what she did. Her name is Holly Ann Passmore. So this is what she did. She gathered some participants. She had 395 participants she divided them into 3 groups. One group was asked to do nothing different for the next 2 weeks, okay? Second group was asked to observe for the next 2 weeks any human-made object that catches their, evokes some kind of emotion within them, okay? Take a picture of that particular object, write some comments on it, so log it, and then, they shared it with the researchers. Okay, so far, that's the second group. Third group, they were asked for the next 2 weeks that they are going to look and observe any natural phenomena in their daily life, okay? And anything that evokes some kind of emotion within them, take a picture of that, and also jot down what they felt and saw, and then they shared it with the researchers. So 3 groups. Also, what they did before they began the 2-group observation, and at the end of the 2-group observation, they took different tests to study their mood, whether it's positive, negative, what have you, and also to study how high or whether they're inspired or not, and also to test their pro-social tendencies, which means, are they willing to be collaborative? Are they willing to be helpful? And so on. So they did these tests before, and they did these tests for the same people after the 2 weeks period. In addition, just for those of you who are, scientifically minded, they also checked to see how much nature exposure did all 3 groups have. So there was no significant difference between the 3 groups in terms of actual nature exposure. Are we with me? So they're all the same in terms of exposure to nature. So now, after the 2 weeks, they were surprised to find that there was actually a significant, so we're not talking about slight difference, significant difference between the group that was supposed to pay attention to the natural phenomena in their daily life and the other 2 groups. Huge, huge difference. In addition to that, what they found was, which was also intriguing, they didn't expect it, the emotions that people wrote about the natural phenomena were related to the phenomena itself. Okay, so and I'm going to share with you some comments that people wrote. So for example, if someone was going to the bus in the morning, they saw a flower, and they actually felt, moved by this flower. So they were relating the emotion to the flower. Okay, are you with me? When they looked at the comments or the emotions evoked by the human-made objects, they noticed that the emotions were actually related to a memory associated with the object, not the object itself. So for example, one participant was talking about having, she was moved by bracelets, that she looked, one morning she looked at the bracelet and she's like, oh, and I love these bracelets because I got them from, my friend got them from me, from whatever, and I have fond memories of my friend. So the emotions are related to people associated with the human objects, while the emotions evoked in the natural or via the natural phenomenon were actually evoked by the natural phenomenon themselves. Are you with me so far? Okay. So the nature group were more positive affect, had more positive affect, they were inspired, and they were prone to pro-social behavior, meaning they were more willing to be helpful and collaborative. So I'm going to share with you two basically descriptions from the people who participated, and then I'm going to share with you the word clouds that were actually found in this research. So one participant said, I saw this little flower as I was coming back from my class. In the midst of all the other dying roses, this one was holding strong. and it really gave me a strong sense of hope. I had been through a long day, and I was really tired, and seeing the flower just gave me a renewed sense of energy for the day. Another participant: I'm a very introverted person, and I'm somewhat of a homebody. I actually originally dreaded getting this label, nature, because I knew it would make me leave my house. But I was very pleasantly surprised and found my anxiety, stress levels decreasing rapidly the more time I spent outside. Outside seems welcoming now, and I look forward to spending more time outdoors with nature and animals. It's fun and relaxing. So let's look at basically the word clouds. I'm sure you've seen them before. So what the researchers did is they took all the words that the participants used for describing the human object and the nature phenomenon, and then they came up with the two different word clouds for both situations. So this one is, let's see if you can guess. Okay. What do you think this one is? Reflects which one? Human-made objects. Okay, can someone, read the words? What are they? Which one is the largest word? Annoyance. Wow, okay. And then what? There's safety. And stress is big too, right? What else? Confusion, guilt, envy, and stress, and disgust. There is fatigue, and also pride and fashionable. Okay, so this is all with the human made. Let's look at nature. So what's the biggest one? Rejuvenation, peace, awe and freedom and hope. Okay. My co-author Munira Azzeddin, we're just talking, just casually. And her husband is actually big on taking kids camping. Just what Dr. Rida Bashir was talking about. And I really, really second what he said about, we're really so blessed in California. So blessed in California, even Southern California, okay? Not even, all of California. Southern California here, the weather is really, mashallah, moderate most of the year. We really have no excuse, honestly. We have no excuse not being out in nature. Anyway, so Dr. Omar Azzeddin is big on taking his kids camping. It's a big thing for him. And since they were, little, I asked Munira one time, they would take their kids when they were infants and toddlers, and I'm like, me, urban girl, okay, who doesn't know camping. I'm like, Munira, I really don't understand how you can handle little kids with camping. She's like, me too, I didn't also know, but we manage, and it's okay. And Umar, mashallah, organizes, everything, and, we end up coming back feeling, very good. So anyway, so she was talking to me about this trip when her husband and her youngest, they went camping by themselves. And so they come back, and her youngest, Ali, he tells her, Mom, I felt so at peace. This is Ali, who's barely 10 now. This was not prompted by anyone. This is what he felt, okay? Peace, because he was at camp. So what is my invitation to you? Basically, I hope the message is clear. It's very simple, it's very practical. The study that I shared with you, was it a study about people who were out in the wilderness for 2 weeks? Was it?
No.
No. It was about people who were going on their daily life in an urban setting, because all of these participants from Columbia University. So they were all in an urban setting, right? But we looked at the impact of just being intentional and mindful of nature around us. So my invitation, very, very practical, is really to make it a priority to go out Go out of, exit your home, even if it's a small backyard, even if it's, your neighborhood park, even really honestly, even if it's walking, in your neighborhood. There are trees in your neighborhood, okay? And for me, nature, by the way, just so we will be clear, for me personally, nature is two things. One is all of Allah's creation outside of your house. This is one, which would be the trees, the animals, the sky, the beach, the forest, the desert. Desert, by the way, has its own beautiful impact on the soul because it's very quiet. Very quiet. So what doesn't matter what kind of nature you live in, that particular, whatever it is, will also be helpful. So go out. Make it part of your daily routine. It is not about that we have to go out in the wilderness and be camping for 2 weeks, even though camping trips are also very important. But we're talking about daily infusions of being exposed to nature while you're actually being mindful and intentional, which means we're not just going to be out in nature with our headphones, okay? We're not going to be out in nature on our cell phones. Yesterday, Thanksgiving, my family and I, we went out to the playground, to take the kids. We have very young grandchildren. So we took them to this playground. And I was sad. I was really, really very sad because, a couple of fathers were there. May Allah bless them because, they're looking after the kids. Nice. But they were there and they were on their cell phones. So they're missing out on many things. They're missing out on the connection with the children. They're missing out on really being intentional about really feeling that natural place that they're in. Also, because we're talking about parenting, I don't know if many of you are aware, but if you really, for example, your children, if they're cranky. The other day, we actually were having FaceTime, our regular weekly FaceTime visit, if you will, with my son and his family. This is one advantage of having technology. We can just use FaceTime, and as if, we're all together. Anyway, so we're doing this FaceTime visit, and then my grandson was very cranky. It was very clear. He's cranky, he's fidgety, he's just, not in the mood. And I told Umar, I said, Umar, I think, Umar, it would be really very, useful right now if we just step outside the house. And, we'll continue with the FaceTime, just outside the house. And wallah, immediately we step outside the house. Habibi Zakaria has calmed down, and he started looking at the trees and the shrub, and and they pay attention to so many beautiful things, and it fascinates them. You know why? Because nature keeps changing. I mean, have you observed that the clouds are not the same every single day? There's so many variations of clouds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his magnificent ability. I mean, you have a changing movie scene, really honestly, outside your doorsteps. So, so please make it, make it a part of your daily routine. The other thing I'm going to say, adjust according to your location. So I came back just recently from Saudi Arabia. I was visiting my family in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Most of you know, what is the temperature in Saudi Arabia? What's the temperature? Just like, really. For me personally, who likes to be outdoor, I can't be outdoor at 2 p.m. in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. There's no way. So anyway, so basically what I'm trying to say, you need to adjust to your location, right? So in Jeddah, what did I do? I'm either going to walk right after Fajr, which all of the outdoorsy people in Jeddah, they do, mashallah. I found that there is actually a movement right there in Jeddah for people. They go out, they go biking, they go walking, they do what they call also dune climbing. Really, there's a lot to be done with nature, even though it's a desert there. Anyway, so either after Fajr, immediately after Fajr, or after Maghrib, or just before Maghrib. So there is no excuse. Honestly, there is no excuse for not being in nature, okay? There was one more thing I wanted to say also. Let me think. Okay. slipped my mind. Okay. Message is clear, inshallah. Okay. I am inviting you to consider connecting with nature as one of the strategies that you will use to train your children in self-soothing, so they can become able to actually regulate their emotions, and it will actually boost their sense of well-being. Inshallah, bismillah. Jazakumullah khair, barakallah feekum. Thank you. Yeah, you can turn it off. Thank you. Thank you.